20 trillion rupees, close to 10% of India's GDP. Fiscal policy, monetary policy, numerous reforms announced every single day, but I still don't know what's directly affecting me. Here's NyayArtha bringing you 5 reforms that's probably affecting you directly. Let me share a screen for you. So here is India's fiscal stimulus package announced on May 12th. And from May 13th onwards, there are numerous reforms announced every single day. So 5 reforms for common public. If you're an employee or a professional, what's actually affecting you? You're not a business, but what are the reforms affecting you directly? Employee Provident Fund. Even if you're an employer or an employee, you had to pay 12% of the salary to Employee Provident Fund. So if there was a person who was having a salary on paper as 10,000 rupees, he had to pay 2,200 rupees for EPF, and an employer had to pay 1,200 rupees too. So he had to pay 2,400 rupees for EPF. So this is Employee Provident Fund in simple words. So the 24%, that is the 2,400 rupees, which had to be paid by this particular employee, would now be paid by the government. So is it for everyone? No, there are 2 conditions for that. So one is your company must have 100 employees or less, and out of that 100 employees, 90% of those employees must take only 15,000 rupees or less. So they only must draw 15,000 rupees or lesser than that. And how many people is it benefiting? It's benefiting around 72.2 lakh employees all around the country, and the liquidity infusion is close to 2,500 crores, and it's also helping 3.77 lakh establishments. And this is the first part of the Employee Provident Fund that was already announced 3 months ago. So it's just an extension for June, July and August. But there is another reform that's actually announced recently that's actually helpful for every single person, I guess. So why do I say it's almost helpful for every person? It's because it doesn't have some limitation. That reform had 100 employees or lesser than that, of 90% of the employees must have must draw 15,000 or less. So that's a condition. But here it's for every single organization. So if you're in a large organization and if you're getting some salary, you know that on your paper, if 1 lakh rupees is what you're getting, 12,000 from your side and 12,000 from the employer's side had to go to EPF. So I'll talk about the example in a minute. So it's reduced from 12% to 10%. So as I told, if it was 1 lakh rupees, you had to pay 12%, that is 12,000, and the employer had to pay 12,000. But now you need to just pay 10,000 from your side and 10,000 from the employer's side. Why? Because the percentage from the statutory percentage from 12% has reduced to 10%. And this is not applicable for CPEs, that is Central Public Sector Enterprises, CPSEs, and public sector units. It's not applicable for them. So if they're in SBI, State Bank of India, it's a public sector unit, so it's not applicable for them, or a lot of other PSUs. And 4.3 crore employees are going to be benefited from this. And I would say, is this beneficial? As a lot of economists say, it's not so beneficial too. So I would like to come back to that. So around 6.5 lakh establishments are being helped by this, and 6,750 crores of liquidity. And why is this not so beneficial if you are getting some revenue or getting salary every single year? So this is not for those employees who are getting 1 lakh or 2 lakhs as their salary. This would not be, this is applicable, but this is not, suggested or advised upon. Why? So now let me say that you taking 1 lakh rupees salary. Again, let me take the same example. And from your employer 12,000, and from your side 12,000 would be close to 24,000 rupees, and that would be the amount which would go to EPF. Now it's 20,000 rupees. So you would take just 4,000 home. And are you just saving it? Yeah, you're taking it home and you could actually spend it on something. But let me say that this is not done. This 4,000 is there for EPF. You would be earning 8.5% of interest post-tax, not even pre-tax. Post-tax, you would be earning 8.5%. So a lot of people say, a lot of economists say that if that 4,000 is not important for you, For a 25,000 rupee salary, it's just 1,000. So if that 1,000 rupee is for a 25,000 rupee salaried person, if that 1,000 is not beneficial for you, please don't take it out from EPF. So it's beneficial for you to pay EPF so that you get returns after your retirement or during your retirement. So that's one benefit for you. The first reform is just an extension for June, July, and August, but this is a new reform. For the next 3 months, this is a new reform. So ensure that you get benefited only if you want that money. If you want some discretionary income and you want some disposable income for spending, like for your rent or for something very important, or else it's, I mean, I know people who pay 20% to 30% of VPF, that's Voluntary Provident Fund. So it's better to give it to the Provident Fund because you get some returns. So if you want it, you can take it. That's the reform which actually is announced. So the statutory requirement was 12%. You had to pay 12%, but now it has reduced to 10% for you and the employer. So if you're an employer, it's beneficial for you too. So this is giving around 6,750 crores of liquidity, and this is something which is not directly coming from the government. It's you what you're saving. So it's just circulating between you and the employer. And the next one is the tax. So the tax part is very interesting because a lot of people get excited when it comes to tax and saving tax. So what is this 25% tax rebate, which I'm hearing a lot of times? So what is this 25% rebate is, in simple words, if you're paying 10% of tax for the, I'll tell you for what are the reasons. So 10% for something, now it would reduce to 25% and close to 7.5%. So if it was 10%, reduce 25%, what would you get? 7.5%. So that's what you're going to be paying for what? These are the list of payments. And how is it going to, until when? So it's until 31st March 2021. And who is it more beneficial to? For landlords, chartered accountants, architects, doctors, lawyers, engineers, freelancers, and consultants. If you're one of them, it's actually benefiting you. Let me give you 2 or 3 examples. Let me give you on a dividend example. This is almost for everyone because a lot of people invest in equity in mutual funds and they get dividends. And when they get dividends, 10% of the dividends, not gains. Remember, this is not if you redeem or capital gains. This is only for dividends. So if you get the dividends of that particular, from that equity or from that mutual fund, you had to pay 10% of it to as TDS. So if you got 1,000 rupees, you had to pay 100 rupees as TDS. But now you need to just pay 75 rupees. Why? Because from 10% it has reduced to 7.5%. Another example is rent. If you're a landlord, you must know that even if if your rent is 1 lakh rupees, you would only get 90,000 rupees because 10% is TDS. That person who was in that house had to pay that 10,000 as TDS. But now it's reduced to 7.5%, right? So he has to only pay 7,500 and 2,500 goes into the landlord's pocket. And obviously it's the consensual on it, it goes to the landlord's pocket or the person in the rent pocket, but it's usually the landlord's pocket because he had to pay 1 lakh and reduce 10,000 and it's 90,000. So it's beneficial for landlords, super beneficial to landlords. And then the third one is professional fee. This is very popular because a lot of people who are chartered accountants, consultants, or freelancers, you know that if you had to get 1 lakh rupees, they would only pay 90,000 and the rest 10,000 rupees is TDS, and they're not taking it, they're paying to the government, so that's TDS. But now you would get that extra 2,500 rupees. That is, if you were getting 1 lakh and they would reduce 10%, that's 90,000. Now you get they'll reduce 7.5%, that's 7,500. Now you'll get 92,500 rupees. I know 2.5% extra money in people's hand is not so much, but it's actually a bit more when it comes to multiple agreements or multiple organizations paying you that money. So 2.5% extra money into the hands of a lot of people. So this is the reform which I'm going to talk about, which I spoke about, the TDS reform. And this is the list of all the people which are going to be benefited. This is actually released on Twitter by CBDT, so Central Board of Direct Taxes. So this will also be posted. So you can follow us on Instagram as NyayArtha, and this will be posted. The next one is income tax refund. So again, another one in the lines of tax for a common man is refunds. So a lot of people had to get refunds from the government. What is this refunds? Let me just give you an example with the charitable trust. A lot of charitable trusts have 100% refund of income tax. So if they're getting 100% refund, a lot of charitable trusts or non-corporate businesses or professionals would not have got that refund. Now in another 45 days you would get all your refunds. So 45 days is what's announced by the government, and we don't know if there's any new regulation regarding the same. So in 45 days all the refunds would be done. So let's say you're a charitable trust and you have income tax refund of 8 lakh rupees. It will be refunded in the next 45 days, all the 8 lakhs rupees. And it's already done for a lot of organizations. So this is for charitable trust. This is specifically for charitable trust, non-corporate businesses, professions, and also proprietorship, LLPs, cooperatives, and also partnerships. So this is for a major chunk of people. So MSME reforms will be spoken about, but this is only for these type of organizations. Next, the fourth one is tax due date and audit extension. So this is mostly on the due date extension. So what are the three dates extension? One is the tax payment. So tax payment which had to be done on 31st July or 31st October is now extended to 30th November. So if you have to pay tax on 31st July or 31st October, it's extended to 30th November. And Vivad Se Vishwas. So Vivad Se Vishwas is, we all know about the Vivad Se Vishwas aspect where there are tax disputes. So I think I need to talk about this. So if you have a tax dispute and you have to pay some interest penalty or some prosecution, if you pay it off through Vivad Se Vishwas scheme, you would actually get nil or reduced interest penalty or prosecution. So this is a scheme which was actually announced in January or last year, December. So now the due date for this is extended up to 31st December 2020. So if any of you have some tax dispute, it's better to pay off right now through Vivad Se Vishwas scheme so that you get a reduced penalty and reduced prosecution and interest. And then third one is the tax audit. So if there had to be some audits or tax audits, which had to be done on 30th September, it is extended to 31st October. So these are the three dates to remember. So this is the tax due date and audit extension. And the next one is the loan repayment moratorium. This is not something new. I've heard of it. Yes, but this is very important for a lot of common public and employees or employers or even professionals to understand how this works, and few aspects after a lot of days, few aspects which have to be remembered. One is for 3 months. We all know about the loan moratorium for 3 months, and probably people are expecting it to extend. We never know, but the three options which are given are one-time payment of the accrued interest. So April, May, if that particular accrued interest can be paid off in the month of June, that's the first option. The second option is interest plus outstanding loan. What is this? So now let's say you have an interest of 2,000 rupees for your particular loan. That 2,000 rupees now will be added to the outstanding loan if you don't pay the 3-month moratorium. So a lot of economists say, a lot of people say that if you are getting constant revenue and if you're getting your salary, it's actually better for you to pay off this particular interest and pay off this particular EMI, because it's going to be added to your capital. So if it's added to the capital, the EMI will go on to increase. So if it goes on to increase, it becomes a burden for you. So let's say your EMI was 10,000 rupees. For the next 3 months, you don't pay. And out of the 10,000 rupees, 5,000 was your interest. So 5,000 into 3, 15,000. So 3 months you didn't pay. So that 15,000 interest will now be added to your particular outstanding loan. So this is something which you need to keep in mind. So if your outstanding loan was 1 lakh rupees, and now this 15,000 rupees is the particular interest now added to your capital. Now your capital is 1,15,000 rupees. So remember, your interest will now be added to your capital. So that's why it's better to pay off your interest if you have some. I mean, if you're getting your salary, or if you're getting your revenue. The third one is the EMI is kept unchanged. So that EMI which you have to pay will be kept unchanged even though the interest is added, but the tenure increases. So even then, this is a burden, obviously. So it's better to pay off, I repeat. So these are the three options which have been given by many banks, and it's not a hard and fast rule that all the options are available in all the banks, but these are the three common options. So fourth option is to pay off. So that's the best option, people say, if you have that salary or revenue coming up to you. And that's all. So do follow NyayArtha for more such information or videos about law and economics, and follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and also on many other social media channels. We are on all social media channels. So do follow us. Thank you. So if you have